Hello everybody. We are back again with another video. So today is a bit more of an interesting one compared to last time, where I just kind of reviewed a deck and basically went over every card by card. If you haven't seen that video, you should watch it, because a lot of the cards present in that one will be present again as I talked about the Shaman half of Primal. This is going to be my final video on the Primal series of cards. Probably going to be running that deck into the tournament that's coming up, but other than that, you're probably not going to see any more Primal deck profiles. Now, this one's a bit more interesting because I'm actually going to be showing you two in the same video. We're going to be showing you the set 1 list and then showing off this set 2 list and basically explaining the fundamental differences, because I wanted to show off in this video how the deck changes between set 1 and the upcoming set 2. For those who are unaware or who are new to Arakai, set 1 format is in its final stages of development as of right now, as of time of recording this. We are in the final stages of set 1. There will be very few changes to set 1 going forward. At least that's the hope. Don't jinx, not to jinx it, knock on wood. So with set 2 on the horizon, I thought it'd be good to show off an A and a B style video where I show you this is the deck now and this is the deck post set 2. So I thought it'd be very fun and very interesting. I'm not wasting your time anymore. Also, I hope I fixed the voice thing. My voice was very cackly, very poppy in the last one. I'm recording this on my phone now instead of my laptop, so hopefully the audio is a lot better. You won't hear any more popping of the mic or anything like that. So we're going to start off with the set 1 version of this. This is Shaman. And if you watch the first video, which I'll have linked down below, you'll see a lot of familiar faces. And that's because Shaman and Beast, they play a lot of the similar cards, because in set 1, you have a very limited card pool. You only have so many cards to work with. So even if you're playing a different thing in the same color, you're still going to be running a lot of the same cards, which is why it's going to be shorter than last time, at least in terms of overall going over the deck. So I'm not going to go and explain so much about how the game plays this time around, because if you want to know more about that, you can watch my Beast Down deck profile, which again I'll have linked, that kind of explains the rules a bit more. So this goes into it assuming you know a bit more about the game, or at least enough that I don't have to explain what the levels mean, So to start things off, we have a card we didn't talk about before. This is Master Summoner Huramhar. He is a Beast Shaman 5/3 with 27k. And he's a very good card. He has an invoke cost of expending a singular spirit, so flip a spirit face down. And when he's invoked, you target any ally in your spirit. As long as that card is face up, I can normal invoke it at any time by placing the top card of my spirit top card of my deck in my spirit restrained. Now, I do still have to pay the level cost for that, meaning it's a normal invoke. So if I were to target, say, a level 2, I have to restrain 2 spirit, just like you would if it was in your hand. Now, if you remember from the Beast Down video, our little friend Grand Summoner makes a return, who does the same thing, but only on level 4 lower primal allies. So Huramhar is just a straight upgrade of what Grand Summoner does, but if Grand Summoner is so good and you're playing 3 in both lists, why aren't you playing 3 Huramhar? It's just there's another Shaman I've chosen to focus on. There are 2 level 5 Shamans, and both of them are very good. Huramhar, in my experience, is a lot better at mixed color decks. Simply for the reason that the fact that he can target any ally in your spirit is really huge. You can target Melanas, you can target Blaze allies. Primal has been mixed in a lot of things, and most of the things that mix Primal typically play Huramhar because he can target any ally in your spirit and turn it online as if it was in your hand, So that's the type of thing you really want to keep in mind when you're considering your Huramhar. However, I am playing a mixed deck. I am playing the Shaman I think is better in pure Primal, and that, my friends, is Drazarian White and Walker. Now, he expends 2 spirits, so he's more costly and has less power, only 26k. So he's more expensive, he's weaker. Is his effect better? I seem to think so. At least I think so in the pure Primal deck. So when he's invoked, you target a level 2 or lower ally in your spirit, and you invoke it without paying its level cost. That's the kicker here. Remember how I said that you have to still restrain spirit for Huramhar? Drazari doesn't do that. He just says, hey, you see that guy? You get him now. You don't have to pay anything. He's there for you right now. He can also target face down allies. This is very important, because a typical thing you'll do is you will summon Drazari, target your level 2, summon your Drazari by expending your level 2 that you want to invoke, and then invoke that target from your face down. And the reason why you want to do that is because he puts the top card of your deck face down restrained, and it also shuffles the invoked ally into the deck at the end of the turn. Well, that's pretty fair, right? The allies don't always go away. That doesn't sound very good. you're wrong. Because again, if you remember from our Beast Down deck profile, again, assuming you've watched that, there are a lot of cards in this color that straight up ignore that clause, that have, as I've called it, the Shaman protection, that just say, we don't care about that shuffling into deck clause, we're just not going to do that. And those are what you typically want to summon with your old Drew man here. So just to reiterate, he is a level 5 that summons a level 2 from your spirit immediately. That, my friends, is what we call ramp. It's one of the very few cards in set 1 that allow you to do genuine ramp. He's like one of the, I think he's the only one left, as a matter of fact. And the reason that's really good is because it lets you get around your spirit restrictions. I know I said I wouldn't talk about the rules too much, but in Arakai, you can only summon allies so long as you have the spirit to restrain. So I have to restrain 5 spirit to summon Druzari inherently. And normally, if you're a 5 spirit and you summon a 5, that's it. That's all you can summon. He lets you summon a 5 and a 2 for free, when you have 7 levels worth of allies at the cost of only 5 spirit. Getting around that, ramping your spirit by an extra 2, essentially, to play more guys. Letting you have that little bit more aggression. There's a difference between Beast Down and Shaman is where Beast Down really just wanted to have a big guy, get that tempo rolling. Shaman's all about that consistency. It's all about that constantly having guys and being able to build a board every single turn. If your opponent kills your board, Shaman is excellent at just throwing up a new one. It doesn't care. It's just going to put new boys on the field. I'm not joking when I say there are games where I'll have like 8 cards in my hand because I just can't invoke all of these guys. It's the guy holding the pairs meme. I can't hold all of these allies. Same difference. Pat Behemoth and Relentless Tuster are back. We're playing them at a 3-2 ratio. Because Shaman's a bit more consistent, and Pat Behemoth is still very good, and your Grand Summoner is still very good. So I find 2 is a little bit better in the non-Beast Down variant. In the Beast Down, I only played 1 of this because you just don't have all the cards that you would have in the Shaman variant. You don't have as much plussing. In the Shaman variant, I play 3-2. I think this is fine. I'm not going to explain these too much. Again, watch the Beast Down video if you want to break down of those. Grand Summoner and Blade Savage are back. Blade Savage is at 3. Grand Summoner is the best level 3 in Primal. Summons their guy. Bladed Savage, when it attacks, you expend a spirit, give it 9k and -2 level to your turn and re-engage it. So again, you have all these cards from the Beast Down video. You have the guy who wins a battle, you spend 1 invoke a level 4 lower from your Primal from your spirit. You have the guy that when summoned from its spirit does level damage instead of drawback, meaning you're just going to deal a shit ton of extra damage. Get your extra attacks. You have your multi-attacking level 3, and you have your level 3 that can summon anything so long as it's level 4 or below from your spirit. When you have all of these cards, you're seeing how the primal core, at least of set 1, really shapes up. And you'll get to see how this changes as we move into set 2. We have Pattern Druzari Denka, which I don't think was in the Beast Down video. When it's during the turn it's invoked from your spirit, it gets 10,000 power and cannot be returned to the deck. Remember that clause? Remember that shuffle into bat bullshit? Just like Relentless Tuster, Denka does not care about that. He just says, no, I don't feel like going back to the deck. No, thank you, Sam, I am. I'm going to stay on the field. So he raises to 24k power during that turn. That is bigger than most level 4s. Keep in mind, my Relentless Tuster here has huge stats. He's a beast ally. He's a big guy, 24k. Well, Genka can suicide into him with 24, and he's a level 2. So this is very powerful. You can summon him off your Grand Summoner, your Pat Behemoth, or your Druid. So again, even though these 2 have the can't shuffle back clause, doesn't matter for Genka. He doesn't care. He knows to be targeted by Hermheart. It's just a very solid card. We also have the newly errated Disturbed Razor. Perma can't be returned to the deck. Remember what I said? Remember how I said this is irrelevant? We don't care about this clause? Here we go. I'm not, how many times I have to say it? We don't care about that shuffle into bat bullshit. And when he's invoked, speaking of shuffling, you shuffle a primal card from your spirit into your deck, then place the top card of your deck into your spirit restrain. You have to remember here, it puts the card in restrained, so make sure you're restraining the card you want to put back. This is very important. Also note, this doesn't say a face-up primal card. It just can be any primal card that's in your spirit. This means it unexpends you a spirit. This card is basically just a level 2 that says unexpend a spirit, but does it in a primal sort of way. And that placing into the deck thing is actually going to be relevant because I'm playing a card that triggers when it's placed into spirit by a card effect. And we'll get to that when we get to that. We also have the newly errated mana charged beast. This is a very interesting beast. This is a beast that wasn't in the Beast Down profile. And that's because I think he's a lot better in Shaman. So he's a 2-1, and he doesn't have the Shaman restriction. Mind blown. Finally, a card that's actually going to get shuffled back into the deck. He's a 2-1-14, same as Denka, same as Razor. You notice we have very good stat of level 2s in this deck. All of our level 2s have really good stats. However, speaking of stats, this one gets can once per turn gain 7,000 power and +1 level. Then at the end of the turn, it gets shuffled back into the deck. Well, what does that mean? He goes to 21k? That's not very good, right? Actually, you're kind of wrong. See, in Arakai, I haven't gotten a chance to show them here, but our vanilla monsters, our level 3 vanilla monster has 20,000 power. What this means is that Mana Charged Beast can get over any level 3 in the game. This is very powerful for getting over powerful level 3s that would be a little inconvenient. A lot of level 3s have like 18,000 power. That's inconvenient to kill with another 3 because you don't want to suicide your level 3s, so you have to do some support. Not with Mana Charged Beast. He gets big, kills that thing, then shuffles himself into the deck. This might seem like a bad thing, and to be fair, it kind of is, but there are situations where you kind of have a full board already, and that shuffle into deck might actually be beneficial to you. Because again, I'm playing Shaman, I'm in my situation where I have like 8 cards in my hand. I probably want to play some better dies than this level 2. So you can kill your die, and then shuffle it away. But, if you remember Prideful Howl from the Beast Down video, it's an aura, which means it stays on the field. Once per turn, target an ally, it gets 4,000 power. This card with Mana Charge Beast completely changes the dynamic. Instead of it being a level 2 that can beat over any level 3, it goes to 25,000, bigger than Genka. 25k is equal to the level 4 vanilla monsters. That's insane. This thing kills any level 4 if you boost it with Prideful Howl. Now you're understanding, you're getting the gears turning here. So, yes, it will get shuffled back in the deck, but it doesn't matter. You get to kill big guys with a level 2, and your other monsters can do whatever the hell they want. They don't have to waste their time killing a big guy. Maybe there's some smaller dudes still, but you're definitely killing the big guy with your Mana Charge Beast. At least that's the hope. Either way, very solid card. I think this card has a pretty decent home in Shaman. I don't really like him in Beast Down because your guys are already huge in that deck anyway. You don't really need a level 2 that gets huge, at least in my opinion. Meditating Trainee and You Off Explorer are back from the Beast video. As a recap, you shuffle a face-up card from Spirit into deck, draw a card, place hand card into Spirit Restrained. Very cool. You Off is Let's Go Gambling Man. Reveal top 5 cards of a deck. Stack out an ally on top of your deck from among them. Or if you have a card in your Spirit that has the same name, you can add it to your hand by expending a Spirit. Let's Go Gambling. Don't ever miss. But here we have another noob Shaman, a level 1/0 with 8,000 power. And it's also a beast. Now, this being a beast actually really matters in set 2 for reasons we'll get into. But for set 1, when it's invoked, you target a face-up card in your Spirit, place a hand card into your Spirit Restrained, and add that target to your hand. This lets you trade a card in your Spirit for a card in your hand, basically letting your Spirit function as a secondary hand. This might not seem that good, but just wait, that's pretty darn useful. At the start of the duel, you place 2 cards into your Spirit, and you have no control over those. You might put your valuable Pack Behemoths or Druzaris in there, and want to get those back. This is a great way to get them back that isn't just shuffling them into your deck like Meditating Trainee. This puts it right in your hand. So while it might seem underwhelming on paper, in practice it's actually pretty good in a deck that's going to constantly be manipulating out its Spirit. Remember all those cards that put cards from the top of your deck into your Spirit at random? Yeah, you might want some of those. And unlike other decks that can't manipulate your Spirit, you have access to those. The Illidar is back in town. We draw a card when invoked from her Spirit, and we ignore that stupid shuffle clause. She was in the Beast Down video. She's here. But here's the last Shaman, a 108k. Well, those stats are pretty bad. And what does he do? When he's placed into your Spirit, except during your Spirit phase, aka except for your normal Spirit, expend 1 Spirit, draw a card. Now it's all making sense. Place a hand card into your Spirit Restrained. Place a hand card into your Spirit Restrained. Place the top card of your deck into Spirit. Place the top card of your deck into Spirit. All right. Place cards into deck for Spirit. Place cards into Spirit. Now we're plussing. Now we're cooking with gas. Instead of just losing a hand card or just randomly dumping a card from top of your deck, occasionally you're going to be able to trigger your Village Sage of the Ancients to expend a Spirit to draw a card. Now I will note, this isn't always a good thing. Sometimes you just can't afford that expend 1. So use your expend wisely. Don't be caught off guard, expending all your Spirit, drawing a million cards, only to be left with your pants down when suddenly you can't invoke anything. That sucks. Don't be that guy. Aura of the Beast is back. Expend a Spirit, target an ally your opponent controls, and a restrained target an ally you control and a restrained ally your opponent controls. Destroy it if your power is lower. You're not playing Beast, but your power is still pretty big, and a level 5 basically kills anything that's lower than it anyway, so Aura of the Beast is still a 3F staple. Wild Prescience. So once you control a primal ally, you can activate this spell. Draw a card, then place a card from your spirit into your... Then you can, and it's optional, add a card from spirit to hand, then place a hand card with a different name into your spirit in the same status. So unlike something like Faunus Spirit Caller and Meditating Trainee, these don't go in restrained. These go in the same status. So if you have an engaged spirit, no problem. You don't have to worry about having the thing restrained already. It's also completely optional. Sometimes you just don't have it. But sometimes you'll open Wild Prescience and Village Sage and then draw 2 cards. You'll do a Pot of Greed. You'll just be able to play Wild Prescience. So once you have a primal ally again, draw a card, add a card from spirit to your hand, dump in the Village Sage, expend a spirit, draw again. Just draw 2. We love Pot of Greed in this house. You're just going to go mad plussing. So with all the allies that's summoning crap from your spirit and all of your draw power, you're seeing how you're going to be drawing a million cards and how you're just going to have a condo line of dies. Because those dies that you target with Grand Summoner and Hurumhar and the like are live in your spirit. We already talked about Prideful House. I'm going to gloss over it. Pulse Field. I talked about this briefly in the in the Beast Down video. But Pulse Field is a neutral spell. Well, what's a neutral spell? Neutral spells don't care about what the hell is in your spirit. Unlike every other card in your game, a neutral spell can be played regardless of what's in your spirit. They can be played at any time. Meaning, I could have 5 different colors of spirit in my spirit pile, and it won't matter. Pulse Field just says I can activate it if I've got nothing in there or everything. So it's a swift, which means I can cast it as an instant. If I'm being attacked directly, nullify that attack. Note, this does not stop effects that happen when they attack. For instance, Bladed Savage. After it attacks, expend a spirit, give it 9k and -2 level, engage it. This still works even if I Pulse Field it. Keep this in mind. So it doesn't stop those effects, but this is going to stop you from taking a lot of damage. A very common strategy people will use against Shaman, because you have so many cards and so many allies, is just to try to hit you in the face. I can't kill your boards, so let's just punch you in the noggin. Pulse Field flips them the middle finger and says, good job, you just wasted an attack. This is very powerful. If you're playing Shaman, you want to play 3 of this and never any less, at least in set 1. We're also playing... People who know me on the Discord know I hate this card. People know I hate Recharge. Recharge is a very simple, neutral spell, unexpend 2 spirit. Why do I hate this card? Because it's a Ned fucking 1. I hate Recharge. I hate that it's a spell that I'm just going to throw away so I can play the game. I hate this card with a fiery passion, but it's not bad. It's not a bad card, even though I don't like it. And honestly, I don't even know if I still really need this in here because of the Disturbed Grazer change to make him an unexpend. But it's still necessary, I feel, enough in set 1. Maybe you could cut it for something else, but I'm still playing 2 copies of it. C'est la vie. So that's the entirety of our set 1 deck profile, and I think it's kind of speaks for itself. As a brief overview, you have your level 1 shamans that are going to generate you resources. You have your level 2s that are quite versatile at killing things or give you some more resources. You have level 3s that are your main playmakers. You have your level 4s that are going to deal a lot of damage, give you multi-attacks, or summon lots of dudes from your spirit. And when you combine all this together, you have a recipe for a ton of consistency and a ton of drawing cards, a ton of allies, and never running out of dudes. Whereas our dudes aren't as strong as the Beast Down deck, you're never going to stop having them. So how does this deck change up in set 2 format, I hear you ask? Well, let's get into it. Welcome to Shaman set 2. So you might notice there's quite a few things missing. What the hell is this? What has happened? What's changed? So, Drazari's still here. Our man, the myth, the legend, the Drew man, the blind man, he's blind. The Drazari, he's still in the house. We don't need to go over him again. Target level 2, invoke it, spend 2, 26k, yada yada. I am infamous for this card. This card is possibly one of the most changed cards in the history of Arakai. I won't go into it all here. Maybe one day I'll make a video talking about the legacy of Jasmine and the horrible, horrible things she's done to the Arakai trading card game. But we're talking about her current version, the most recent version that I came up with not too long ago. And she's pretty interesting. So Bountiful Nature Maiden Jasmine is a 4/2 human shaman. And I realize the card is actually slightly incorrect. I am sorry about that. We're going to reload the card. There we go. That fixed it. So it doesn't expend any spirit. It's completely free. When invoked, you target allies whose total levels are 2 or less in your spirit. As long as they're face up, you can normal invoke them by placing a hand card into your spirit restrained. And they're shuffled back into the deck at the end of the turn. Well, that sounds pretty bad, right? Drazari summons a level 2 and it has the same condition, but that's a special invoke. And Grand Summoner hits up to a level 4, and that places in the top of the deck. Why would you play this card? It doesn't look that good. And that's where you used to be right. In the previous versions of the deck, we didn't really play too many of the spirit triggers, your Village Sage of the Ancients. Remember him? There's other cards that trigger when you're placed into your spirit. I tried really playing more of these in set 1, but I just don't think the pieces are there. Until set 2 comes around and we have some fundamental differences. Because the thing with set 2, it's the same deck, but with fundamental differences. That placing into your hand, from your hand into spirit, is actually kind of an upside. You don't always want to do this, but there are some powerful level 1s that you can summon, such as your Illidars, or, a card we'll get into later, the Disturbed Grazer and the Denka are back from last time, and Mana Charge Beast doesn't particularly give a shit if it's shuffled back into your deck. So you can target multiple level 1s or a level 2 and have that versatility, and basically go +2 in a sense, because you're turning 2 allies in your spirit online whenever you want. And remember, cards like Genka can kill a lot of things, this kills a lot of things, this unexpends spirit, this draws you cards, and you're gonna make up your tempo, especially with your spirit triggers like Village Sage of the Ancients, if you remember him, that when placed into your spirit by a card effect, draw a card. And you're trying to understand why this, while it might seem like a downside, she's still very much worth playing in the deck as a powerful new piece of Shaman support that came in set 2. These guys are still here. I'm not going to talk about them again. Beastly Ghost. Who is the Ghost? Why is he a beast? I'll tell you, this card is fantastic. This is actually possibly the best set 2 primal card, barring one that we'll get into shortly. Beastly Ghost is a 3/2 with 19,000 power. That is the biggest we've talked about thus far, minus the level 3 beast monster from the Beast Down video. What does he do? Evolution. What's that mean? Well, evolution basically means that you can normal invoke it on the ally that's listed without paying its level cost. Meaning that if I have a level 3, like let's say a Bladed Savage on the field, I can just throw down a Beastly Ghost onto it. I can throw down my Beastly Ghost onto any level 3 or higher pro ally, and then basically that just means that the monster that evolves onto goes into its core. The closest analogy I can think of is like Xyz materials from Yu-Gi-Oh!, where you would overlay 2 monsters to make an Xyz monster. That's probably the best analogy I can give you there. So, okay, I just used a level 3, and I put this die on it. What's that get me? When it attacks, I can add an ally from its core to its hand, to your hand. Well, gee, doesn't that just suck? I just summoned this die, and all I'm doing is putting the die back in my hand I used to make it? What a ripoff. Shut the fuck up. Hear me out. First of all, almost every good level 3 in the game has 18,000 stats. Meaning, this die beats over all of them minus the vanilla, so he's already got that going for him. But the best primal ally, at least at level 3, is Grand Summoner. It is a very good play to play Grand Summoner and evolve a Beastly Ghost onto him after he's already turned a die in your spirit online. Because remember, you don't have to keep this die on the field to resolve his effect. So if I play Grand Summoner and target, say, a Genka, well, if the Grand Summoner dies, I can still evolve that Genka. Now you're understanding. Summon Grand Summoner, evolve Beastly Ghost onto it, attack, add the Grand Summoner from my hand for next time. Suddenly, I'm getting 2 Grand Summoners for the price of 1, and I've got a bigger die. Well, this sounds amazing. Why only 2? We'll get there. Trust me, we're getting there. There's a big reason that this deck list has so many more 2-ofs. Runic Ritualist. This is the other set 1 spirit trigger that I like. There's one more that does an attack boost But I'm not playing it because I just don't think it's good enough to warrant it, at least right now. Maybe in the future when Spirit Triggers are a bit more common, I'll like it. Spoilers for the third theme deck. I didn't say that. I'll consider it. But for right now, Runic Ritualist just says, when it's placed into your spirit, except during your spirit phase, unexpend 1 spirit. This one's at 3. You're going to be duping a lot of spirit in this deck. And yeah, you have your Jasmines that do that, plus all your old cards. Just like Village Sage, it's very easy to dump this thing into spirit, especially with a certain aura that we'll get to later down the line. We already talked about Genka, we already talked about Mana Charge, we already talked about Grazer, we already talked about Eolf, we already talked about Faunus, we already talked about Trainee, we already talked about Village Sage, we already talked about Illidar. We already talked about all those in the set 1 deck profile. You don't have to see them again. Apprentice Shaman Marquis, a 1/0 with 8k. Oh, brother, more bad stats on a level 1. Why are we playing all these bad cards? Shut the fuck up. During the turn, it's invoked from Spirit, can't be returned to deck. So another one of these dies that has the Shaman protection that does not care about the shuffling deck. Once per turn, so not even a trig, you can discard a card, expend a Spirit, draw a card. Then, if you control a level 3 or higher Shaman, Grand Summoner, Jasmine, Druzari, you can draw a second card. So what does this mean? It means you can potentially draw 2 cards if this is summoned off of Jasmine, Grand Summoner, or Druzari, meaning it's situationally a little better than Illidar. Also, I will say, the reason we're on 2 Illidar now is because we have Jasmine, and Jasmine means you can invoke level 1s a lot more often. Just thought I'd give that a little footnote. So why would one Apprentice Shaman Marquis? Well, the deck's kind of expend heavy, even with Ritualist, even with Grazer, and you don't always have the expend necessary for Marquis, and unless you have a Shaman that's of the right level, it's often just worse than Illidar in a lot of ways. It doesn't have a drawback like Illidar does, so there's that, but it's really a kind of a... It's interesting whether or not you want Marquis or Illidar. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. One thing I need to point out to you before we move on, there's a lot of level 1 Shamans in this deck. Look at all these level 1 Shamans. A lot of targets for the old Jazz. Now granted, these 3 aren't going to get protected. So only the Illidar and the Marquis are protected. But again, Jasmine can also target level 2, so it's not like she's bad. We gotta talk about the best primal spell added in set 2. Marquis' motherfucking Bestiary. This card is crazy good. It's an aura, which means it remains on the field. Once per turn, if you control a level 2 or lower Shaman, discard a hand card, search your deck for a level 3 or lower beast, reveal it, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. You can search not only this on Expender, but this on Expender. You can search Faunus Spirit Caller. You can search Genka, Mana Charged Beast, even Bladed Savage. I will not lie. This card single-handedly turns the deck into just getting a bunch of dudes into seeing what dudes you want at the specific time. It is so goddamn motherfucking good. I cannot even stress to you how important it is you play 3 of this if you're playing Shaman at all in set 2. If you're not, you're playing the deck wrong and you should feel bad about yourself. This card is so instrumental, I cannot gush about it enough. Being able to do a turn 2 play of Grand Summoner into Illidar or Marquis, play Bestiary, discard a card, search Beastly Ghost, evolve onto Summoner, attack, get the Summoner back to your hand for next time, is so fucking strong that I cannot fathom this to you enough. It is possibly one of the best resource things I've seen, at least at the very limited amount of set 2 we've seen thus far. It is very powerful and is not even the limit. Sometimes if you need to spend, just get it. Are you about to do some spirit thing? Search for a Runic Ritualist, baby. Invoke your Faunus. Get your unexpend. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you just need a strong level 2 to get you over things. Mana Charged Beast is right there. What's that? You have a Prideful Howl and you need a multi-attack? Bladed Savage, baby. He's there for you. Are you understanding? Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Marquis' Bestiary is so goddamn good that I cannot stress this enough. It is simply chef's kiss, absolutely perfect. Play 3 and never look back. We already talked about Prideful Howl enough. We already talked about Wild Prescience, draw a card, do Spirit Manipulation. Remember your Spirit triggers, very powerful. Post Field, Recharge, in here at 2. Honestly, I'd probably put this to 1, play 3 of this in hindsight. Who's this guy? What's this random One of Abyss card doing in here? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to one of the 2 chimeras of set 2 that are very generically splashable. This is Necro Chimera Asmodane. Longtime Arakai players are going to recognize this guy. He's a 1/1 8K, but guys, no one gives a shit about this guy's fucking stats. When discarded from your hand for the cost or effect of your card, expend a spirit, draw a card. Discarding, you're doing Spirit Manipulation. Why are you playing this? The silence is intentional. Your best fucking aura discards its cost. How would you like to search your deck and draw a card? How would you like to draw 3 cards off marquee? But wait, don't you need an Abyss Spirit to use this Abyss card? Sure, if I was summoning it. But here's the thing about Arakai that didn't come up in the last video. If you're just using an ally's effect, you don't need the spirit for it. I don't need Abyss Spirit to trigger Asmodane's effect. It does not matter that this is an Abyss card, because I'm never summoning it. If I'm summoning Asmodane, something's gone terribly wrong. I am just holding it so I may discard it off a bestiary or marquee to draw cards, to get more card advantage, to further outgrind my opponents and beat them down with sheer muscle power. This deck, I'll admit, is a bit more in the testing phases. It's probably going to go through some fundamental changes going forward. But I wanted to show off just how much a deck can change with the addition of only a few cards. If you look back to the set 1 deck profile again, how many cards in here are really different? These guys are gone because I don't think they're necessary, and Aura of the Beast has been swapped out and Hurumhar's gone. Other than that, most of the cards are the same. So what fundamentally changed? You have more ways to summon dudes from Spirit. Ways to loop summoning your level 3 or higher, so this way you can summon more guys from your Spirit. More consistent means of seeing your unexpenders through your Marquise Bestiary, giving you more Spirit triggers, extra draw power, and extra good level 1s to summon off of your guys. By getting these extra consistency pieces, the deck fundamentally changed from just being this raw pile of primal good stuff to a consistent strategy that's constantly able to search its deck for whatever beast it might need at that given moment, with tons of level 1s giving you extra card economy. All off the backbone of a good Shaman core, summoning your guys from the Spirit and never running out of cards. This is the fundamentals of Shaman, and I greatly look forward to showing off more things with this deck as the game continues to evolve. And maybe one day I'll do a deck profile of this again once it's finalized and we're at the end of set 2, or maybe when Theme Deck 3 comes out and we get those amazing new Primal cards that are in it. Primal has a lot more than just Shaman though, especially in set 2. There's a whole new archetype of Primal cards that I have never touched before that I plan to. Those cards are the giant insects, ladies and gentlemen. And the giant insect cards, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. Hive Terror Deathstinger. Remember this name. The next time I do a Primal video, he's going to be in it. These cards are very powerful, and I look forward to talking about them the next time I do a Primal video. But rest assured, the next video I do is not going to be on the Primal Nation. I think we've seen enough green for one day. So where will my tales be taking me next? Ladies and gentlemen, I think next time we have to journey into the Abyss, as the Abyss calls for us, and they call to claim your soul. I'll see you all in the next video. for the next deck profile. Or maybe you'll get lucky and there'll be a tournament game by then. Either way, thank you all for watching.